Hey YouTube, what is going on? I apologize for my appearance. I kind of like almost just woke up. But anyways, today is January 6th, 2021, and I just read on the news that as the elections, the Georgia runoff election results are coming in. At this point, it basically looks like both senators are going to be Democratic, and also in terms of presidential electoral votes, it looks like Trump lost. Or like it confirms that Trump lost the presidential election, and confirms I think Biden won. I think that's what's going on right now. I'm not like 100%, but basically, aside from that, Trump protesters have raided and stormed the Capitol building. Screaming God knows what, and it's getting really crazy because right now, like a lot of the Capitol Police and even federal agents are asking for essentially help because like there's so many people. I think I looked online. It says guns are being drawn, and it's going nuts right now. And, and honestly, this is insane. Like, I mean, I've only been alive for 30 some odd years, so I have never for myself, I don't remember any election that's been this hot in the last 30 years. In terms of U.S. history, I also don't know. My U.S. history is not that good. Those of you that are older that are watching this, like, let me know if any other presidential elections has been like this crazy, and even in history, right? Like even in terms of like back before any of our generations were on this planet, like was there any other time that's been like this? I mean, and it's absolutely insane. And quite frankly, like, this makes conservatives look very, very bad. Like, yeah, like, obviously both sides has their blame to in terms of like, or at least like their claim to fame in terms of like people not accepting election results, right? Both sides have like their history of just like saying like this is screwed, like there was fraud or whatever, like, and like I mean more so than last, I would say 5 to 6 years, but both sides arguably have their claim to fame in the end when it comes to not accepting election results and complaining about it, whining about it. Both sides do it. Like one side can't say that one side is worse than the other until now. That is because even when Trump first won, as far as I know, Democratic protesters did not storm the Capitol building. Yeah, sure they did some protests along the street. Like I think there was like a women's march that basically declared, like pretty much had like where most women were like against Trump or something. I forget what was the whole thing about, but in terms of overall, like this is the kind of the most ridiculous thing like people have seen. I feel like at least my generation has seen in terms of how people react to things. It's like, dude, like it's not like we're electing royal officials or like a monarchy here. It's not like the next president is only gets at max 8 years and as little as 4 years, as we just saw, right? And so eventually, we will get another election and we will get a different president. So, but people are treating this as if like, oh, after this president, there's going to be no more presidencies. This person is going to be like the king of the United States of America, which we almost had when we first started this country. But Washington actually denied the seat of being a actual king and instead like offered up, a more balanced government, which today is a whole nother story. But but it's crazy right now, like how many people are at the Capitol. Like they go in there with Confederate flags, which by the way, you lost. The Confederacy lost. It's like, I mean, it'll be like people walking around with Nazi flags. Oh wait, there are those people. And again, you lost. You lost the war, both of you. Now, I'm not saying you can't take pride in that history. A lot of current German military men take a lot of pride in their ancestors defending their country. But there's one thing to take pride in, just like patriotism. Like, yeah, my forefathers, fought for my home country, and I'm proud of that. But that's different from being proud of what they stood for, right? Like, in terms of like the Confederacy, which stood for slavery, and Nazism, which stood for a lot of bad shit too. Like, it's one thing to say like, hey, and technically, like, not every German that was a Nazi in World War II or that fought for the German army was like a full believer in the Nazi ideal. Some people were just forced to join it. All right. Like, not every one of them thought like, Jews were the devil and that they were the Aryan nation. Some people were just like, oh yeah, like, I'm going to fight for my country because that's what patriotism is. A lot of them didn't didn't really agree with Hitler's ideals. So we can't say every single German was a Nazi at the same time. And even like the people who fought for the South, like, not every Confederate person is racist, was for slavery, or was this and this and that. Just not every person was. A lot of people were forced into these wars. But anyways, that's a whole other story. I digress from that. But this whole shenanigans of people just raiding the Capitol is like, dude, just go home. Like, go home and quit crying like little babies. Like, I'm sorry, like, it sounds harsh, but like, these people are acting extremely childish. It's extremely stupid. And like, if you want to really start pointing fingers about which side is being more childish and most ridiculous, at this point, like, the right wins all out in terms of all that, because we didn't see this when Hillary lost in 2016. Maybe some people were like, up around and up in a fuss, but there was no giant raid in or like storming into the Capitol building. In fact, like, I mean, let's look at it. Till this day, Trump has not conceded the loss. Hillary conceded her loss within like hours of the results coming in. The only voting investigation was brought upon by independents and the Green Party and like people, and which Hillary didn't even back. All right. I mean, later she was kind of like, a little for it, but overall, like, she didn't want to do it because like, who cares? Like, like, it's at this point, it's like the votes are in and there was nothing to really do about it. It wasn't like a close race. But right now, Trump is just like being the most ridiculous sore loser on the planet. I mean, I don't think the only people more sore than this is insane. Like, what's going, Caesar? But it's absolutely crazy, like, what's going on in the country right now in terms of what, like, yep. But it's just, I mean, like, just people just need to go home and chill out. Like it's like at the end of the day, it's not even, none of this is even like, it's not, nothing is permanent. In 4 years, we get another election. And hell, like, if you want to vote Biden out, then get your people together and vote him out in the next election. There's only 4 years of your life that's going to be taken up by the liberal, like, devils or whatever you want to call them. Like, it's are people making this seems like a live or die moment? It's like, oh, it's the end of our country, is end of this. Is like, dude, you're being like really dramatic. And and like, someone needs to cue the freaking violins for you for your life story or something, because like, you make it seem like as if this is the end all and be all of this country, which is not. Okay, like, at the end of the day, like, yeah, everyone has disagreements, like, between what we consider patriotism or like what we consider as America and what we consider as a good leader. But like, this idea that's like good versus evil, yeah, I think that's very far fetched. Like, I mean, I myself, like, I used to be right-ish. I used to be a lot more conservative, and as I've grown up, I've leaned more left, but I still have a lot of conservative, like, beliefs mixed with left beliefs too. So like, I mean, I guess in a way I'm in the middle, maybe a little bit left leaning. I don't know. Like that, it depends what the issue is. Like I go by topic, but to me, it's like I think both sides, just want what's the best for this country. At the end of the day, sure they disagree on what the ideas of what the best is, but like, you know, but this idea of like one is actually evil and the other isn't is really bad, and I think both sides do that too often. Like the left definitely calls like the right, like, you guys are just nothing but racist assholes all the time. I'm like, bro, like, come on. You can't just like label entire people that. And then, the right labels the left, like, you're just fascists, socialists, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, there's just all this, like the blame game and like all this name calling is just tearing this country apart. Like I feel like the only way for this country to really unite is like one common enemy, which, well, at one point was like sort of the Middle East, I guess, in terms of fighting against cultural or like terrorism, but even that doesn't really help. And I mean, unless something like Independence Day happens in this country, there's not going to be like any point where humanity unites together. And even then, there's probably going to be the people who are like, let's not fight them, even though they've destroyed half our cities. But yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm just going nuts. But anyways, I just think this thing is crazy. I'm going to continue just like looking up more articles on it because it's kind of wild in terms of like kind of shenanigans that keeps going on in this country, especially today, because today was like, today is the day where like election results all come in and stuff, and like people are just going absolutely up the wall. But anyways, those of you that are near this, I hope you are at home and stay safe, and like stay away from this stuff because this is only going to get more dangerous, and I feel like it might even get violent. So please don't go in like think it'd be a good idea to drive down to the Capitol and be like, hey, let's check out what's going on. It's probably not a good idea. And there's going to be a lot of violent, angry people there. So please stay home and stay safe. If you're thinking of joining, like, let's just say you agree with what these people are doing, you think of joining, don't. Like, it's you're only adding to the problem. You're not solving anything. It's not like just because all these people are there, protesting or whatever, at some shape or form, at some point in time, someone's going to be like, you know what, we'll just change the election results so that we can make you happy. That's not going to happen. All right. Like, yeah, you voiced it that you're unhappy about the election results. That's great. Take over the Capitol. Yeah. Okay, buddy. Let's see how you do that against the military. Yeah. See what happens. Okay. Your little militia wannabe soldiers is not going to be really much help against the actual military who has, I don't know, artillery and like planes and stuff, like you having a AR-15 is not really going to go against tanks, mortars, helicopters, and Blackhawks, and stealth bombers. Not to mention the national intelligence, where they'll have radar and everything on you. So go ahead if you want to become cattle for whatever. Go ahead, Lego man. Anyways, I hope everyone stays safe out there. We'll see what happens in the next, I don't know, few hours. I guess it's on the East Coast. I'm on the West, so it's noon here, but 3:30 over there. Maybe it might dissipate. Maybe it might go crazier. Who knows what's going to go on? And according to other news, there's not a whole lot of else that's really updating from what I can tell. The senators have been escorted out of the chamber to avoid these people. Even McConnell's side against Trump. Wow, that's a new one. He even speaks against Republicans objecting to the electoral college vote count, which the electoral college is bullshit anyways, but whatever. But at this point, like, what's like, it's absolutely insanity. Yeah, they can't really with 100 people inside. Doubt shots will be fired. Let's hope shots will not be fired. If anything, like, yeah, no. Obviously, no one's gonna bomb it, but I'm just saying, like, this idea of like militias, like these wannabe people, who are wannabe soldiers. Sure, some of them are military vets, but they're not going to do anything. And because at the end of the day, they're going to be going up against a force of like craziness. But anyways, hopefully nothing happens. No one gets hurt. Everyone just goes home safely. I definitely applaud. I definitely respect the energy and the faithfulness to their party. I think more people should get involved in politics in general, like to be aware of what's going on in the country. I think too little people don't get involved enough and don't know what's going on, which is why probably like the government has so much control over like everything, in general, right? Like I think there was these articles that used to come out about, while this event was happening, Congress passed like all these other crap that like affects our daily lives, and like no one knew 2 cents about it because no one covered it, and it was like those. And those are like really bad ideas. And I was like, holy crap, like they just passed something that like restrict everybody, but like no one cared because all they cared about was like the Kardashians or something like that. But it's kind of crazy. I don't know why this is I hope that, this ends soon, that people just go home, do things a little bit more peacefully, ends peacefully. I don't, like the last thing I want to see is on the news is like tear gas and all this other craziness that's going on, and they start like coming in with riot control. It's like, I think it's going to be a mess if that happens. Like we're going backwards in time at this point if we get this crazy over temporary election results, because at the end of the day, like again, in 4 years it could be another president. So at this point, I don't see. I mean, yes, gusto and and good job for you guys for feeling so passionate about the government and like who rules this or not rule, but takes the highest seat in the country. But like there's a time to call it and there's a time to fight back. And I feel like instead of putting your energy into this kind of craziness right now, maybe spend the next 4 years. Just rallying your people together and getting people in the same mindset, and then in the next election, you come out in force and go through the democratic process. Like that's the best we can do. Thank you, sir. I thank you for your opinions. And I hope that everyone stays safe. Anyways, yeah, I'm running. I'm just babbling at this point. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Anyways, hopefully nothing crazy happens. Hope everyone stays safe. Please just don't hurt anybody. Everyone is still human at the end of the day. Every life matters, and don't like do anything dumb. So, anyways, I'm gonna go off and I'm gonna go play video games. So hope you guys have a good day. Everyone out there, stay clean, stay safe. It's 2021. It's a whole new year. It's going to be hopefully a better year than 2020 in terms of at least, the whole COVID shenanigans. So everyone just stay clean. Tell someone you love them. Tell your loved ones you love them, and make sure that, you don't take any day for granted. So take it easy, folks.